Look, life can get busy, and sometimes we don't have the time to cook a healthy, nutritious meal. But that doesn't mean we have to go out and fill our body with frickin' junk food. But luckily, it doesn't have to be like that, and in this video I'm going to share my preferred meal replacement, health code, and also what I do when I don't have access to that and I'm on the move. Quickly before we jump into things, I'm not a doctor, so please advise your health professional before actually making any serious decisions in your own life. And I'm going to be evaluating it on these criteria: real ingredients, low carbohydrates, great fats that are going to actually give me long-lasting energy and support my body, no vegetable oils, animal-based proteins, ideally grass-fed if possible, and also staying clear from any added sugars. Natural stuff is fine, but no added artificial stuff. Okay, so for my favorite part, reading the ingredients. Okay, so we've got a protein blend consisting of whey protein concentrate, grass-fed collagen, and egg whites. And then we've got a healthy fat blend, which is coconut oil powder, olive oil powder, MCT powder, flaxseed powder, coconut butter fat, and grass-fed ghee. Then we've got digestive-resistant maltodextrin, digestive-resistant dextrin, sodium caseinate, natural flavors, apple cider vinegar powder, sunflower lecithin, inulin, Redmond real salt, xanthan gum, digestive enzyme blend consisting of alpha and beta amylase, protease 1, protease 2, lipase, lactase, hemicellulase, cellulase, invertase, diastase, and then finally stevia leaf extract, monk fruit extract, lactobacillus acidophilus. You get the point. So as you can clearly see, it's real ingredients, and they actually pride themselves by not adding in any artificial ingredients, which I'm quite happy about. And also, they're ensuring that it's going to be digested well in the body. So, yeah. Next up, we've got low carbohydrates. It actually has 4 grams of net carbs. We can calculate this by taking the total carbohydrates and subtracting it by the dietary fibers. And I learned about this in a book called Why We Get Sick by Ben Bickman, talking about how insulin resistance, which is the bane of our existence, is the reason that we actually get sick. And unfortunately, the standard American diet, or otherwise known as the SAD diet, is going to actually increase these spikes of glucose and make our body more insulin resistant over time, which is just going to introduce more diseases into our lives. And a little thing to note here, I was previously basically eradicating carbs out of my life, but I've personally found I feel better when I add some carbs at the end of my day after working out or something like that. But I'm ensuring that they're real carbohydrates instead of refined carbohydrates. So we're talking sweet potatoes, brown rice, and stuff like that. When it comes to fats, I think they did a really good job here. They added a bunch of different types of fats that we covered in the ingredients to ensure that, again, yeah, you're getting that energy throughout the day and you're nourishing your body in the way that you need. The thing is, we're actually made up of fat. And the fat that we put into our body is going to become the fat that's on our body. So ideally, we don't want to be making compromises in that area, and I think that's exactly what they did. Again, in my opinion. And I'm confident about this because they didn't allow vegetable oils into their product. And the thing is, oftentimes producers will use these vegetable oils that are much, much cheaper and improve their profit margins just because they can ensure that they're getting their macros in, at least on the label. But again, the quality is not going to be the same thing. And my problem with vegetable oils, for example, sunflower oil and soybean oil, is they're highly unstable. And they're known as PUFAs, polyunsaturated fatty acids, or omega-6. The thing is, these guys can be oxidized in our body very easily and thus cause inflammation and damage our body. I don't want that. See, but don't get me wrong, like, we need omega-6 in our body. But at the same time, the SAD diet, the standard American diet, has an excess of this, and they literally put vegetable oils in frickin' everything. Next time you buy something, I dare you to read the ingredients and you will see, most likely, a vegetable oil of some sort. And unfortunately, most Americans eat 20 to 50 times the amount of omega-6 that they actually need. I learned this from 2 resources down below. You can check them out if you'd like. Okay, and next up we have animal-based protein. It's split into 3 main things in their blend. So for starters, we got grass-fed collagen. This is huge because oftentimes humans are mainly eating the muscles of animals and not actually the collagen-rich cartilage and organ meats. So it's a great idea to be supplementing with stuff like this. And here's the thing. Look, I'm not gonna act like a professional. I'm gonna read the list of the stuff that it's good for. Collagen is good for structural protein that builds bones, teeth, muscles, skin, and all other connective tissue. Not to mention, it plumps your skin, strengthens your joints, improves your sleep, burns fat, and boosts gut health. I researched this, I found this online, take this with a grain of salt, but from what I've learned, it is quite important. Secondly, we have whey concentrate, and this is going to be good because it actually allows our liver to create our master antioxidant, which is going to be glutathione. And this is going to be good for us because it's going to go mop up all the freaking free radicals, unstable molecules that just want to wreak havoc on the rest of our body. And also it's going to help immune function. Then finally, we've got egg whites. Who doesn't love eggs? Eggs are great, especially coming from a good source. Hopefully they are. I didn't see if they were pastured eggs, but I'm assuming, hoping they are. And I wanted to share some stuff that I actually learned from Dave Asprey. The laptop is back because he's the professional, so I'm gonna be letting you know what he said. So if we're actually going to be having a meal where we actually chew our food and not have a meal replacement, we want to be optimizing for these specific proteins. So ideally we're gonna be choosing wild fish, grass-fed meat, and pastured eggs. Then a step down from there, we're going to eat poultry and pastured pork in moderation. And then at the very bottom of all this, we want to avoid at all costs factory farmed meat, farmed seafood, and soy. Again, keep in mind, you're not perfect. If you're somewhere where like you literally don't have access to this, shit's gonna happen. But like ideally the 80% you're going to be consuming this stuff if it's in your budget, or again, you're going to be optimizing as much as you possibly can. And on the topic of plant protein, I know I've mentioned that I'm specifically more of an advocate of animal-based protein, but again, let's use Dave Asprey here, someone that knows his stuff versus me, someone that's learning. So the way Dave breaks this down is plants have this thing called lectin inside. And the thing with lectin is it's a self-defense mechanism to ensure that predators like insects and animals like me do not eat the plant. And see, the thing, not all lectins are bad, but the thing is the lectins that are found in plants, once they're consumed into our bodies, oftentimes love to use the sugars throughout our body to thrive on. And lectins can actually bind to your joints, disrupt your gut health, and cause bacterial overgrowth. Yeah, nah. Not today, it ain't. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, at the end of the day, is a little bit of plant protein going to be bad for you? No. But at the end of the day, you just have to ask yourself, how do I feel when I eat this plant protein? Do you feel good or do you feel bad? Specifically for me, when I ask myself that question when I eat animal-based protein, I feel much better than when I'd have something like chickpeas or soy or anything like that. And I personally think that fad diets are BS. Like, there's things we can learn from, for example, the carnivore diet or the vegetarian diet. But the thing is, each of us are unique, and for example, we each have our own sensitivities. So I feel like there's like good foundational stuff that we can apply to our lives, but you can't just take one of these diets and be like, this is perfect for me. It's more so asking yourself how you feel and figuring out a unique diet that's specifically for your body. And if you're enjoying the video so far, please be sure to smash the like button down below. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and I really would appreciate it. Okay, let's keep going. A couple other house cleaning items. I honestly think it tastes quite good, and they ensure that they're not adding any artificial sweeteners. They're using stevia and monk fruit extract, which makes it taste quite good. But if you were to ask me, I would stick with vanilla. I tried chocolate, so did my friend, and we both agreed vanilla was much better. Keep in mind, I also don't really like sweet stuff so much, especially chocolate, so be mindful of that. But the thing is, there is a couple things that are not so glamorous, and I want to warn you of. For starters, if you have lactose intolerance, like this guy over here, it's not always enough. Like, they put a digestive enzyme inside that ensures that you have lactase to break down the lactose that's going into your body. But sometimes I've still gotten some bloating and some crap in my stomach, so I honestly just take it with another digestive enzyme and it usually eradicates all of the problems. Just be mindful of that. The next thing is, it's good that they ship internationally. I'm happy for that, not going to complain at all, but it kind of does suck that you get hit with customs. This is just a thing that we're just used to, so like, it happens. There's nothing the company can do to fix that, but it's something to note. It just sucks. And I guess finally, it's relatively affordable. Some people can argue that it's quite freaking expensive compared to other meal replacements. But at the end of the day, like, I really think of it as a quality argument. Like, what material do you want to be putting into your body to create the energy and actually stuff you got going on in your body? What do you want to be choosing? And I think it comes down to that. But I understand for some people, they just don't have the budget for it. So just being mindful, it could be quite expensive. And a final kind of con of just meal replacements in general is I oftentimes find myself drinking them extremely fast. And ideally, I'm trying to strive to a state where I'm actually eating food quite slow, ideally around the 20-minute mark range. So yeah, it can easily be abused, and I can literally be drinking it and just basically 2 minutes later, I've had like, I put 4 scoops in when I do it, so I've basically had 800 calories just down the gullet. Okay, now that we've got that covered, what do you do if you're in a situation where you don't have access to health code? What I personally do is I opt for sushi or poke. Ideally poke. And the reason why is I can ensure that it's raw and that no one is actually going and overcooking the hell out of it. And then at the same time, I know that there's not going to be any vegetable oils in it, or at least I can optimize for that. In that poke bowl, a base is going to be rice or salad, depends on the time of meal and depends if I had carbs already. Then I'm going to be going for salmon for my protein source, specifically because I know it's not going to be cooked. And also I know that it's a lower mercury level fish. These are going to be toxins that are going to be just messing up our body. Then toppings wise, I'm going to be adding avocado, some cashews, a bunch of raw veggies, and then I'm going to be skipping the sauce just because oftentimes that's where they use vegetable oil and a bunch of sugar to make it quote unquote tasty. It's not, sure, it can be tasty sometimes, but just not worth it. And I'm usually opting for olive oil instead if they actually have it available. Oh, and not to mention, I'm skipping the soy sauce just because it's not really the best scenario for me. I'm trying to kind of fix my hormones like my testosterone and my estrogen. And also, if they have seaweed, I'm definitely opting for that because it is full of freaking micronutrients. Alright, now that we've figured out how to ensure that we're not putting junk into your body, there's something I want to tell you, and you're probably going to get really pissed off at me. What you actually eat is not as important as how you eat it. And if you want to learn how to improve the way that you're eating things, I made a video all about that here.